We left it off in the last video at the Battle of Mohacs, where Louis II, the young Hungarian king, tried to stop the Ottoman army and sadly died at the battlefield. With his death, the kingdom split regarding who should be the new king of Hungary, as he passed away without a legitimate son. One of the contestants was Archduke Ferdinand from Austria, having strong ties to the Jagello family, as he was married to the sister of Louis and Louis was married to Ferdinand's sister. This gave him a good position to claim the crown. It is important to note that both Hungary and Bohemia were elective monarchies, where the parliament had the sovereign rights to decide who shall be the next king. So when the news got out that his brother-in-law, the king of Bohemia and Hungary, died at Mohacs fighting the Ottomans, Ferdinand didn't waste any time and immediately applied to the parliaments of Hungary and Bohemia to participate as the candidate in the royal elections. On 14th of October 1526, the Bohemian Diet elected Ferdinand as king of Bohemia under some conditions. For example, he had to move the Habsburg court to Prague. On the other hand, he did not have this much of luck in Hungary. The throne of Hungary became the subject of a dispute between Ferdinand and John Szapolyai, who was the voivode of Transylvania, and his family already was trying to grab the Hungarian crown for a while. You might ask, what's a voivode? This is, or more like it was, the highest rank in Transylvania. Only the king of Hungary was outranking him. Also, talking about John Szapolyai, I think this is the time that I have to point out something disturbing. John Szapolyai was nearby at Mohacs at the time of the battle with his army and was instructed by Louis II to engage. However, he decided not to attack the Ottomans, leaving the royal army to lose. I assume, and let me point out that this is my own opinion based on my research, and if you don't agree with me, I am happy to engage in a friendly argument or discussion about this in the comment section. He deliberately led the young king to lose at the battle, so he could then take on the Ottomans and take over the crown as the savior of the country, same way as he got the nobility to support him after he crushed the Doge uprising in 1514. The two candidates were supported by different factions of the nobility in the Hungarian kingdom. However, Ferdinand also had the support of his brother, the Emperor Charles V, and the Catholic Church. This politically divided Hungary, which was a really bad time for this, knowing that the Ottomans were lurking around the south, as at this point after Mohacs they didn't occupy Hungary just yet, but raided the central part and pulled back. On 10th of November of 1526, John Szapolyai was elected as the king of the Hungarian realm by a diet at Székesfehérvár by the untitled and lower nobility. Not much later, the higher nobility and the Hungarian Catholic clergy organized their own diet at Bratislava, which also was called Pozsony at the time, on 17th of December 1526, and this time they have elected Ferdinand as the rightful ruler of Hungary, Dalmatia, Croatia and Slavonia. So this was a fairly awkward situation, as both of them claimed the throne and the Ottomans were still the front door. Ferdinand was worried that if Hungary, unable to resist the Ottoman Empire independently of Austria and Bohemia, it is very likely would enter into an alliance with the Ottomans against its western neighbors. Due to this, in the interest of Austria and Bohemia, that the Habsburgs gain control of Hungary, of course by force if necessary. Right after Mohacs, Jovan Nenad appeared between Tisza and Danube as a leader of a Serb regiment. He quickly drove the Ottomans from Bácska and from Banat and Sirmia, which he then ruled independently from the Hungarian crown by declaring himself as an emperor. At first he sided with Szapolyai, but later, and this war story deserves its own video in the future so I won't get into details, he decided to support the Habsburg King Ferdinand in the beginning of 1527. Szapolyai could not let that happen, so he engaged in a military campaign against Jovan Nenad, which tied down most of his army. This was the time Ferdinand committed to put an end to this rivalry, so in July 1527 Ferdinand raised and sent an army into Hungary. The moment was well chosen. John Szapolyai's forces were tied up in the southern counties of Hungary fighting against Jovan Nenad, so in one sweep the Habsburg army captured Buda. Szapolyai at this point had to quickly redeploy his army from the south to fight the army of Ferdinand. The first clash between the forces happened at the Battle of Tarcal. Szapolyi's army numbered around 7,000–8,000 men faced Ferdinand's army numbered around 18,000. Szapolyi attacks Ferdinand's main force, bringing on a full-scale battle. Ferdinand's left flank troops quickly overwhelmed Szapolyi's right wing, while German and Austrian mercenaries swept through Szapolyi's cavalry. Ferdinand's Hungarian hussars then broke through Szapolyi's center, reached his camp, and drove his remaining soldiers to the river Tisza. Ferdinand's army left the battlefield as the victor. After the victory at Tarcal, Ferdinand took control of most of the Hungarian kingdom and was crowned in Székesfehérvár. Szapolyi withdrawn to Transylvania. Understandably could not just sit around and let this happen, so he started to raise a new army to take back what was, according to him and his supporters, was rightfully his. Szapolyi recruited a new army and advanced into the Habsburg-controlled part of Hungary with approximately 15,000 men. From the Habsburg sides, Kornelian Johann Casimir and Balin Török marched against Szapolyi with an army around 13–14,000. They met Szapolyi's army at Sina, near Kassa, which called today Košice and is in Slovakia. Szapolyi ultimately wanted to reach Buda, but the Habsburg-led army prevented him to reach his goal. In the battle, the German Landsknecht infantry was superior against the less skilled units of Szapolyi. When the fight was over, Szapolyi had to escape and was pursued by the Hungarian units of Balin Török and Lajos Perky. After defeat, Szapolyi fled into Poland seeking help, and Ferdinand claimed Hungary, including Transylvania. The Polish king, Sigismund I, declined helping Szapolyi and to proclaim war against Austria, as understandably he didn't want to drag Poland into a Hungarian Civil War. And yes, I call it a civil war as Hungarians were present on both sides and they're fighting at each other. So it's a civil war. What happened next is what really raising some questions. How far would one go to restore their power, paying what price? Szapolyi tried to get some help from other European rulers to support him in returning to Hungary with an army to fight Ferdinand, but received no support. At this point he turned to Suleiman I, Sultan of the Ottomans, for help. And we are talking about the same Ottoman ruler who attacked and raided Hungary just a few years earlier. Looking at the options from inside Hungary was not an easy decision for the surviving nobles of Hungary. Now they had to choose between pledging alliance to a native vassal of Suleiman or a Christian foreigner. In 1529, Szapolyi approached the Ottomans and agreed to make Hungary a vassal state in return for recognition and support. Suleiman the Magnificent accepted and sent Petruares, the voivode of Moldavia, into Transylvania with Ottoman support. Petruares defeated Ferdinand in the Battle of Földvár, which followed up sending the Ottoman armies to invade Austria and peaked at the siege of Vienna, a war which lasted until 1533. This allowed John Szapolyi to regain his position in Hungary in 1529. After 4 years of war, in 1533 the Ottomans made peace with Austria and ceded western Hungary to Ferdinand, left Transylvania and central part of Hungary under the rule of John Szapolyi as an Ottoman vassal state. Ferdinand at this point began to press John Szapolyi for the control of the rest of the country. As a result, to conclude the civil war in 1538, at the Treaty of Nagyvárad, Ferdinand recognized Szapolyi as John I, King of Hungary and ruler of the two-thirds of the kingdom, while Szapolyi agreed that Ferdinand rules over Western Hungary and recognized him as the heir of the Hungarian throne, as John was childless at this point. Plot twist. In the late January to early February of 1939, he married Isabella Jagello, and on 15th of July 1540 they had son John Sigismund. John Szapolyi died 7 days later on 22nd of July 1540. In August of the same year, Ferdinand's envoy had demanded the transfer of the late John Szapolyi's realm to Ferdinand in accordance with the Treaty of Nagyvárad. This was a perfect situation for the Ottomans, and Suleiman invaded Hungary under the pretext of protecting John Sigismund from Ferdinand. Buda, the capital of Hungary, fell to the Ottomans without opposition in 1541. With this, the Hungarian kingdom was split to 3 parts. The Habsburg-ruled western part, the center region, turned into a province of the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman vassal state of Transylvania. Although Szapolyi's child was elected as the new king by the nobles, supporting his father on 13th of September 1540, he was not crowned with the Holy Crown of Hungary. What happened after this is for the next video in this series about how the Austro-Hungarian Empire was formed, and we will look at the long war against the Ottomans. Bye!